Under the low, silver skies of Ireland, where rain speaks more often than people do, there is a stew that has outlived written recipes, borders, and generations. It was never taught from a page. It was taught from hand to hand, from fire to fire, from memory to memory. Tonight we return to that pot. Authentic Irish stew was never created for admiration. It was created for survival. In stone cottages pressed against the wind, this stew simmered while families waited for daylight, for weather to change, for fields to soften again. It asked for very little, and in return it gave warmth that lasted. This is not a dish of excess. It is a dish of restraint, of trust, of patience. This is how Irish stew was cooked in the old way. Step 1. The lamb. Authentic Irish stew begins with lamb. Not chosen for elegance, not shaped to please the eye. This is not meat trimmed into perfection. It is lamb left as it was meant to be. Bone in, substantial, and unapologetically whole. The cuts are placed into the pot without ceremony. No browning, no performance. Just quiet intention. The bones matter, they always have. Inside them lives marrow, slow, patient, generous. It carries depth that cannot be manufactured, richness that cannot be rushed, and a warmth that no shortcut has ever learned to imitate. As the stew begins its long simmer, the bones slowly surrender. Not all at once. Not loudly. They give themselves overtime, minute by minute, hour by hour. They release warmth into the water, they soften what was sharp. They round the edges of the broth until bitterness disappears. What was once plain water deepens, darkens, becomes something fuller. Something that coats the mouth, something that settles the body. Something that feels less like liquid and more like shelter. This stew does not chase flavor, it does not demand it. It trusts that flavor will arrive when it is ready, so it waits. Step 2. The potatoes. Potatoes come next. Ireland's constant companion through famine, labor, and long winters. They are peeled slowly, often in silence. Hands moving by memory rather than instruction. No timer is set, no technique debated. They are cut thick, deliberately so, almost stubbornly, as if refusing to disappear too soon. These are not refined cuts, not decorative pieces meant to impress. They are shaped for endurance. As they settle into the pot, they rest above the lamb, shielding what lies beneath, holding warmth where it belongs. As the stew simmers, the potatoes begin to change. Their edges soften, their centers loosen. They slowly break down, clouding the broth, not ruining it, completing it. They thicken the liquid naturally, patiently, turning thinness into substance, turning simplicity into comfort. No flour is added, no thickener stirred in at the last moment. No effort is forced upon the pot. The potatoes decide, they always do. They decide when the stew is ready, when the broth has body, when the warmth is enough, when the meal has become what, it was meant to be. Step 3. The onions. White onions are sliced simply. No precision demanded, no uniformity required. They are laid gently into the pot, not scattered, not rushed. They arrive without ceremony, as if they already know they are not meant to lead. They make no demand to be noticed, no attempt to stand apart, no insistence on identity. As the heat moves slowly through the pot, the onions begin their quiet work. They soften, they loosen, they give way. Their sharpness fades first. That bite that stings the eyes, that edge that announces itself too loudly. What remains is something gentler, deeper, a sweetness that does not shout. They dissolve into the broth almost completely, threading themselves through every layer, binding lamb and potatoes together without being seen. By the time the stew is finished, you will not find them. No visible slices, no obvious trace. But you will feel them. In the balance, in the warmth, in the way the stew settles softly rather than sharply. Their absence is their presence, and that is their purpose. Step 4. Restraint in seasoning. Seasoning is approached carefully, deliberately, almost reverently. This is not the place for excess, not the place for experimentation. Salt is added slowly, by instinct rather than measurement. Enough to awaken what is already there, never enough to overwhelm it. Black pepper follows, crushed coarse, not fine. Its heat is quiet. Its role is supportive, never dominant. Sometimes, only sometimes, if the land has been generous that season, a single sprig of thyme is placed gently on top of the stew. It is not chopped, not scattered, not stirred in aggressively. It rests there, barely present, allowed only to whisper. There is no garlic in the old tradition, no carrots brightening the pot, nothing added for color, nothing added for modern expectation. Authentic Irish stew understands something easily forgotten, that too much interrupts what patience is building. Flavor, like trust, grows best when it is not forced. And this stew believes that restraint is not absence, it is respect. Step 5. The layering. The pot is never stirred carelessly, not now, not ever. This is a moment that asks for attention, for order, for quiet intention. The lamb settles first, placed at the bottom of the pot, closest to the heat. It belongs there, where warmth rises slowly, where flavor begins its long ascent. Above the lamb, the onions are laid gently. They rest there, waiting, ready to soften, ready to disappear when the time comes. The potatoes are placed last, one by one, unhurried. They form a quiet lid over everything beneath them, holding the heat, holding the moisture, holding the story together. Only then is water added. Cold water, poured slowly with care, just until it reaches the surface. No more. Never stock, never broth borrowed from somewhere else's story, and never boiling water. Cold beginnings matter. They allow the lamb to release itself gradually. They allow the potatoes to soften without shock. They allow the flavors to rise together naturally, honestly, without force. This is how balance is protected. Step 6. Time and fire. The fire is kept low, deliberately so. The heat is gentle, steady, patient, uninsistent. Nothing is rushed here. The stew is brought slowly to a soft simmer, not a boil, not agitation. The surface barely moves. Only the occasional bubble rises, as if by choice rather than command. And then it is left alone. It cooks for nearly 2 hours, sometimes longer, rarely stirred, rarely disturbed. The kitchen begins to fill with a scent that does not announce itself. It does not rush toward you, it waits. It settles into the walls, into the air, into memory. Time works quietly inside the pot. The lamb softens slowly until it falls apart at the suggestion of a spoon. No resistance, no struggle. The potatoes surrender in their own way, breaking down just enough to thicken the broth until it coats the sides of the pot, clings to the spoon, and warms the hands that hold it. The liquid turns cloudy, not imperfect but complete, rich, deep, deeply comforting. This is not food made to impress guests. It is not meant for presentation or praise. It is food made to endure nights, to sit quietly on the table, to be eaten slowly, to remind those who taste it that warmth, when tended patiently, can last. Authentic Irish stew does not decorate itself. It does not evolve to match trends. It remains simple because it remembers who it was made for and those who worked the land, those who waited out storms, those who understood that warmth is sometimes the greatest luxury. When you eat it slowly, you are not just tasting lamb and potatoes. You are tasting patience, resilience, and a history that learned how to last. If this story warmed something in you, if it reminded you that food can still carry memory, like the video. Subscribe to Moonlight Whisper and share this with someone who believes the quiet things are worth preserving. Until next time, let the fire stay low, let the pot simmer, and let the past speak.